Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another week of Self-Directed IRA Saturday. Today, we're doing it a little bit different. Normally, we have a guest speaker come on and they share their education with us. Today, we are lucky to have a pre-recorded class that Eddie Speed made just for us, and we will be playing that for you guys today. He's got a lot of great new education for us planned, so I'm really happy to announce him, even though he's not actually here with us. But I do want to let everybody know, if you have questions, please put them still in the chat box as you're listening throughout the class today. We will have myself and a moderator online as well to document those questions, and we will personally send them to Eddie, make sure that they get answered for you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull myself down. We're going to bring up the class, and I will pop on at the very end just to kind of wrap things up and make sure you guys have some of our educational material, resources, and a way to contact us as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Eddie Speed's class.
Well, thanks, guys. And to all of you that are attending today, I'm really glad you're here. We have got a lot of information that we're going to present in a fairly short period of time. I know that you're going to have questions, and we encourage you to ask us questions. We have chosen today, we've discussed this. We've chosen today to cover as much material as we can, as quick as we can, but don't feel like we're going to ignore your questions. So Quest, if you guys will send us the questions after the fact, then we will make sure that we respond to you, and we're excited to hear about it. So let's talk about kind of what the title says and kind of like where we are. Profiting from insider information in the note business, right? Insider information, how to improve your family's finances using less of your own time. So we're going to talk about two things today. We're going to talk about the timeliness of the note business, and secondly, how to use less of your time doing it. Because we have had all of these people that have come through note school over the past 20 years, and they've told us two things. We love notes. We love what you're doing. Could you help us so that it takes less of our time? And so we're trying to listen to you guys and give you guys what you're really asking for. So, and there'll be an opportunity, a way to register with us at the end. I want to give you a special gift, and we'll talk about that. All right. So first of all, legal disclaimer: I am not an attorney or an accountant. I don't play one on TV, but what I am going to talk about today is strictly for educational purposes. I paid a lot of money in legal and accounting fees. I think I'm right, but I'm certainly not licensed, and so it's just for education. So kind of, first of all, who is Eddie Speed? I have bought 50,000 discounted note transactions. So I feel like I'm speaking to you today with a level of experience in doing the business. And secondly, I'm not just a has-been that did it from, when I started in 1980, and it's an 80s and a 90s story. But we've done about 6,000 transactions just the last few years. So we've served over 2,000 people at a mentor or membership level. So we've spent a lot of time with people. We feel like we know what they want, what they're asking for in today's environment. And we're going to talk about some of those things today. We're going to talk about some of the market, and we're going to talk about how notes are so important in a market like what we're in. So yeah, that skinny little guy right there, that's me. And I started in the note business in 1980. I went on my own with my own company in 1984. And so I've been doing this a long time, and we've been buying notes. And I had a very unique opportunity in this because that is my dad. And I got to teach my dad the business at he was about late 60s, 67, 68 years old. He was a really smart guy. he had been a realtor and other things like that. And he just didn't have his retirement where it needed to be. And so he joined us really because he said, what could I do that could drastically change my future and my retirement? And I'm happy to report to you, he told me 1,000 times, if not 10,000 times before he passed away, son, this is the best thing I've ever done. So I'm really proud and honored that to say that I got to influence him. I learned the business from my father-in-law, who introduced me to the business in 1980, and I introduced it to my dad, and he was really grateful. And I was just a vessel. I didn't do anything special, but it certainly meant a lot to him. And he did these same strategies that we're talking about here today. So I've been doing it a long time. I don't call myself, I don't call myself senior. I call myself seasoned, right? So what are people saying outside right now? What are people saying in the marketplace? What are people feeling? And not necessarily people right here in this room, but otherwise. And that is, this inflation thing is really getting to people. People are struggling. People are struggling with, kind of feeling like surviving. And what I would like to say to you today is I understand that. I truly do. But this same timing that is causing some people to strain also produces the most incredible opportunities to buy discounted notes. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here today is timing, is market timing and your timing and how much time you spend, right? So time is a big theme of this. People are really saying today that they're saying, how do you have savings? And so we want to show you today some incredible strategies with some leveraging and different ways that you can do this beyond how your imagination might have thought about it. So our discovery in this evolution that we made was completing note deals faster while using less of your own time is the key to seizing opportunities in down markets and building wealth quickly. Things are changing, right? We're not going to do a market update today, but if I did, I would say all commercial real estate classes are not headed for a good spot. That's not because Eddie Speed says it. It's because every data source out there and every market condition out there says things are changing. People 2 years ago that probably wouldn't have considered buying notes because they were buying rental properties today are coming to note school because the math on rental properties won't work, right? Expenses are up 30 to 50%. Rents had really risen and now they're sliding back some. Nationally, we're at the same rent payment we were about when the virus started. And we're seeing a compression, right? So people are trying to figure out what turn do you make in a market, depending on what the market is. And right now, investing in notes, completing note deals is bringing people a lot of opportunity. Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. This is how you make money when you sleep. So what's new for us? What's out there? What are people saying? What are they telling us about? Our students, we provided courses and training material that we do a magnificent job at. For over 20 years, we've taught more people how to invest in notes legitimately than probably any source out there, right? That has ever done this. And so we produce good materials, but people say that's not enough. Like, I need more. We met with our highest end students. We asked them, we said, what could we do for you? We went through a pretty elaborate survey discovery process with our most high-end students. And basically what they said was, can you help us with a deal? Can you help us find a note? Can you help us evaluate a note? Can you help us with the processes? We would like to rent some of your competence and confidence. We would like to rent your time. because it would take less time of us and we could move quicker. And so when we laid out what we thought was possible, we had 81% of our highest end, most well-trained note investors that said, help us. We love it. And we have. And so now we are telling you the result of it. See, my team is really experienced. I've been doing this since 1980. I bought 50,000 deals. Bob Repass, was in corporate America buying seller finance notes from the biggest note buying shops in the business, running those shops, right? Martha Speed, my wife, so many of you may have seen, like she's considered, certainly I think in the Quest world and people like Jeff Watson, she is the queen of taking note investing in retirement accounts and using leveraging strategies with it to build legacy, right? We'll have a case study that'll kind of show you an example of that. Susan De La Garza runs my office operations, been with me 30 years. This lady's bulletproof in what she knows about note buying. Charles Mangan, asset manager extraordinaire, right? And so this is a bench. This is a team that can say with integrity, we've bought over $3 billion in discounted mortgages. That team. And people say, could you help us? So what benefits could done for you help our members with? And that was complete deals faster, way faster, a breakthrough in limitations. Even the most important part, mental limitations. There's a little voice in our head. That little voice in our head tells us things sometimes that are completely wrong, but we tend to believe that little voice. You can't do this. Sometimes that little voice is somebody else that loves us, a family member, a friend, a coworker. They may love us, but they're telling us something won't work when they don't know if it'll work or not, right? They're telling us our limitations. And so this process that we've seen, proof positive that it does work because we're seeing students fund assets. And that cash flow is proof. It's the money in the bank. It's hard to deny it. Like you can't say it doesn't work when you see the deposits in the bank account, right? So if you're new to notes, welcome. What would notes do? What does that mean? Well, the truth of the matter is notes has the ability to create cash flow. You're the bank. You're not a landlord. You own a mortgage on a property. You're receiving payments because you're the bank. You buy somebody else's loan, and now you become the bank, and you receive payments, and you earn interest, and you earn that cash flow. By the way, with not the expenses of having a rental. And it's an incredible retirement building strategy, an incredible way to build a retirement fund. And it allows you to dream beyond where you could think. You see, I found that most people want legacy, but they see only financial legacy as like you have to start out with a fortune so you can have legacy. And the truth of the matter is you can start out with way less than a fortune if you have a wealth of creativity knowledge, not just financial wealth. We'll give you an example of how that can work. This is a portfolio of notes that we bought. Now, this portfolio was particularly loans that had been paying a really long time. It was a low balance loan portfolio. There were 40 notes in this portfolio. We sold 34 of them to our note school members, to the people that are in our inner circle. We kept 6 for ourselves. Here's one that we kept. That's a trust that we own that owns the notes. And look how low the balance is. The balance was only like less than $9,000. Now, what does that mean? Well, for a lot of times that means people could get a start. And yeah, I mean, you're saying, well, the payment's not huge, Eddie. The payment's only $132, but it's only a $9,000 note, right? Now, not every note in there was as small, but this was a particularly small portfolio. This may be something that my wife would then move and put into one of our grandkids' or Coverdale educational accounts, or maybe an IRA account. Now, this is my team. This is back in my office in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. all that experience. This is what we're doing every day. We're finding notes. We're working on notes. We're doing the space. And student says, can you help us? Like show us what you do. And so this note that we bought, because people say, well, what in the world can an $8,000 note be secured by? Well, it was secured by this property right here. This was actually the picture of the property. Does that look terrible? No. Is it a house that you may personally want to go move into? Maybe not, but it's a house that a working class person lives in. They probably live there for 20 years. We bought this note. The house is worth, they say repaired. Now, this was only a drive-by appraisal, and it was close enough. We only paid $8,000. But, it could be a $60,000 to $80,000 house. Look what a dollar bought. Like, sometimes people don't know what even a low dollar might buy. Now, not every note is that cheap, but it just shows you what's possible. And that's kind of why I showed you that today. This loan portfolio, 31 of the 40 notes, 31 of the 40 were under $50,000. So see, this was a low balance loan portfolio. Now, once again, we had the connections. We had the opportunity. We're in the business. Somebody called us with these 40 notes. They didn't call you with these 40 notes because it's probably not what you work at every day. It's not what you spend your time and energy on. So we connected these students with these assets in a way that they wouldn't have had access. Robert Kiyosaki says the most important word in the word of money, in the world of money, most important word in the world of money is cash flow. Now, Robert, that's actually 2 words, but I think we get the point, right? Cash flow. So what's holding people back? What's holding people back? We've interviewed, polled, asked thousands of questions to all of these students. And what they tell us over and over is it's time. People want their time back. People want a compression of time of what they have to go do. So we really took that to heart, and we tried to figure out how we maybe could help people in ways we'd never helped them before. Now, this all sounds fun on TV. That's a cute couple, by the way. And it's really fun, and they discover lots of little fun things they can do. But you see, I know thousands of people that have done this, rehabbed houses and managed rentals. Sometimes it's not so fun. People ask us what note school is, and the truth of the matter is, it's kind of a home for burnout landlords, right? It's kind of a home for people that have tried all this, and it wasn't quite as fun as maybe it was on TV. No discredit to them. It's just a lot of people don't have a tolerance for it, right? This was an email that came to one of our executive team, and the bottom line is they were talking about our Done For You program. They were talking about how we could help them. And in the body of the letter, they said, well, we just got a lot of stuff going on. Can you relate? All of us have a lot of stuff going on, right? This was a note school student. This is Josh. He's a realtor in Houston. And he said, look, we're not suffering in any way. But it's clear as night and day that what the spending power of $10,000 a month has turned into. Josh was basically saying, that $10,000 isn't what we dreamed it would be. That's why Josh ended up coming to us, is because he wanted to be able to build his future and invest in his future. He wanted to be able to build towards his cash flow. So a lot of people say, like, if I just had a piece of what you guys could do, it would really accelerate what I could do. And so we listened to that, and we said, what would that look like? You see, this is not uncommon. This is an email to Bob on our executive team, and this is a $50 million portfolio of discounted mortgages. We get that kind of communication on a fairly regular basis. We got a seat at the table in the industry, right? So we have access to inventory and access to opportunities that not everybody else has. And so we started figuring out ways that we could essentially rent that to our students. in a way to give them the value, not just give them the time back, but give them not having to go spend time having a seat at the table, not that energy and not those years of expenses. So let's look at a real deal, right? Let's look at buying existing notes. This is my family. My wife, Martha, of 41 years, my two sons on the far left, that's Wood and Hudson. And then my daughter, Emily, in the green dress on the right. And then their spouses, Tessa and Catherine and Matt. And we realized that what our why was in life is we wanted to be able to pass along some financial legacy, even for our grandkids. And by the way, we've got two more since this picture was taken less than a year ago, two little girls. And but the way we were going to have to do it is we're going to use some financial modeling, some deal architecture techniques in order to be able to do it. So here's an example. Here is a property. It has 20% equity, right? So that's the equity portion, and it has debt. It has a $200,000 debt. That $200,000 debt is at 6% interest payable over 20 years. And that looks essentially like this. The payment, $1,400 a month. And how long does that last? Well, it lasts for 240 payments, 20 years, right? That's a cash flow. If you bought that note, you would do it. Now, here's how it works. My wife, Martha, quarterbacks a lot of our legacy, retirement account investing. I stay focused in this note business and running note school, and she's focused on this very part-time investment strategy, which is how to buy discounted notes. Because, see, these notes are bought at a discount. In this example right here, this $200,000 note, it only earns 6% interest. And we want to earn a higher interest on our investment than 6%. So when we buy that cash flow, at a discount. So this is a normal kind of a model. We would pay about $140,000 for a $200,000 note. But we're going to earn the income the $200,000 note makes. By the way, that income over time, that's $343,368 for a $140,000 investment. This is normal. This is what we do, right? So the risk profile is that we funded $140,000, but the property is worth $240,000. So for us, there's a lot of cushion above what we invested. Now, if you bought a rental property, you'd have invested the whole $240,000. So this is why you hear note investors not losing money like sometimes you can lose in other investments, because we're investing in the note where our collateral is worth a lot more than what we invested. That's if something goes wrong. And it could. Not super likely, but it can. So Martha uses a leveraging strategy. She buys this cash flow. She buys the whole note, and then she turns around and she sells part of the note. So Martha, in this case, sells off this first portion of the cash flow. And when she does, she sells it for enough money to almost pay for the whole investment. She buys that much and she sells this much. Now, yes, she sold the front payments on the note. But what if you had a very low amount invested to own those backside residual payments? So here's the actual math on this deal. So remember, we paid $140,000 for the note. We sell 12 years of the note, the first 12 years, for $139,000. Now Martha has $1,000 invested, and she owns 8 years of payments. That's 96 months at $1,432 a month, right? That's over $100,000. right? So that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good for $1,000 investment. So the idea here is the investor in blue, the passive investor, and that's his investment. He's going to earn about 7%, which we are very confident that that is a current market available opportunity. Martha has $1,000 invested to earn $1,432 a month times 96 months. That's well over $1,000. People say, well, what's the yield on Martha's investment? Well, let's just say it's very high. No, of course I can calculate the yield. Why would I? Why would it matter? It would be outrageous, right? The best deal is when you don't need a calculator, right? So let's look at this diagram here. Martha finds a note seller. She funds to the note seller $140,000, and what she gets is a cash flow for 20 years, a payment stream. Then she has a passive investor, probably somebody that would have been buying a rental property or would have been investing in multifamily. All of a sudden, now the market's very different. Then all of a sudden, she sells that cash flow of the note to him, and he funds $139,000. So think in terms of Martha is now getting a payment stream of this for, yep, it's crazy, but it's true, $1,000 investment. You see, that's financial modeling. That's taking a retirement account and using creativity to figure out where you can be in a deal. And can you do it in your personal income company? Can you have to do it in a retirement account? No, I've done way more transactions just in my company LLC than I ever have in a retirement account, although we've done a lot. Would you say that Martha's a deal architect? Would you say that Martha is focused on legacy without having to start out with a fortune of capital to start with? Yeah, Martha's using a fortune of knowledge and creativity. Martha's strategy in this has now been able to give us something that was important to us, which was, how to pass on some legacy and how to go build our retirement account. This is our strategy. This is it, right? Let's talk about non-performing notes. People say, well, there's none of those out there right now, Eddie. The residential real estate market's unbelievable, and there's no delinquent mortgages. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Shadow inventory. Right now, there are just about, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me erase that. There's just under 2 million of these mortgages that are delinquent, right? And yeah, these are residential mortgages according to Black Knight. So in the marketplace, there are a lot of loans that are delinquent. This was kind of a graph to show you some historical. People talk about 2005, 2006, 2007. Nothing could go wrong. Nothing could be better. But yet when you look at the charts of default and properties in the auction, could you see a trend going up? So could you look at data and know that there was a trend happening that wasn't necessarily reflective exactly on the surface of all this hype about the real estate market? And then there was this 2008 thing, which turned out to be a bomb, right? But the real bomb was actually after the fact. It was in here. This was the biggest bomb because the effects of the mortgage crash happens after. And then, of course, it tailed off. And then this was April of 2020 right here. And whoa, what happened here? What was this? What happened in this was because of the moratorium. So you can't foreclose. And those loans just got moved over till now. Plus, about 2 million mortgages otherwise. So opportunity, gigantic opportunity. Foreclosures are drastically up, and foreclosures are going to be up. Mortgage delinquency and the amount of delinquency. So mortgages are calculated in the days delinquent. So it's kind of, you got, they're in buckets, right? Here's the 30-day bucket. They're 30 days delinquent. Here's the 60-day. Okay. And that's the 60-day category of loans. Here's the 90-day category of loans. And then it goes to 120 plus day. These are days delinquent. The problem is in this category, this last category over here, this last category is pretty crazy because this category of loans right here are 600 days plus delinquent. They're not slightly delinquent. They're crazy delinquent. And so that shows you why that this is happening. So you're saying, well, these delinquent notes, what happens? Well, the banks basically are going to package these loans and sell these defaulted loans in the marketplace. That is going to be the mass majority of where these delinquent loans go. The banks are not going to take them all the way through foreclosure. They're worried about headline risk. They don't have the personnel to manage them. That's all the above. Like, this is definitely the industry trend. And so then they sell them, these gigantic portfolios, they sell them to these hedge funds, right? There's a trade right now on Fannie Mae loans that is almost $700 million. But there's only about 6 hedge funds that would bid on that portfolio. Now, some of those loans the hedge fund buys won't fit their investment criteria, not because they're bad deals, just because they've written a box, they've written this is what we want. And some of those loans are going to fall outside, and they take those loans and bundle those smaller portfolios up. And that's my company, Colonial, and that's where we come into play. That's how we get these trades. That's one of the ways we get them. And that's true with performing notes and non-performing notes, right? Now, the shadow inventory is really, or a lender has probably started the foreclosure, and now green is you. You're buying it, and then you got to take it through that level of foreclosure. And then once you get it foreclosed, then you get the property back. And then from there, the last time, 2008, it would take you forever to get it resold. But see, the real estate market's different. We're buying delinquent mortgages in a market that's a residential market that's not crashing. So it doesn't take as long to resell it. So now at the time you have a substantially shortened cycle time to own this non-performing note. In fact, it may even stop here at the point at foreclosure. Here's our friend Jay Redding. Jay is looking at what he would do here, and Jay is going to buy a loan that is basically, they owe $85,000. Now the property is worth $140,000. So this is a very equitable loan. Jay's got a $57,500 investment in that note. He bought it at a pretty deep discount, almost $30,000. So the property was worth $140,000, and the balance they owed was $86,000, and $57,000 is what he paid for the note, right? So Jay buys it. The bank has already taken it this far. The blue represents when the bank took it that far into the foreclosure. But then they sell it to him for $57,000. And by the way, that $57,000 includes legal and insurance and expenses other than just the cost of the note. And then he gets to foreclosure. Well, the loan's paid off at foreclosure because the house is worth $145,000. So somebody comes in at the foreclosure and bids more at the foreclosure sale than what he's owed. So he gets paid off. Is that bad? No, he made almost $28,000 profit in a very short period of time. Yeah. So Is this a good case study? Yeah. Is this like a 1 in a million case study? No, it's actually not. This is a good case study. He made good money. I mean, like, I didn't show you a loser, but I'm also going to say to you that this winner is not a needle in a haystack. So people decide when they come to note school, really they have three things we've discovered in their mind. They have a base of knowledge, which basically says, I'd have to know how to do this. Then they say, I like doing this. This is a good business. I'd like to do what Martha does. I'd like to do what Jay does. And then they say, okay, well, the time to go do the business, and the time to learn the business. And so usually people have a minimum standard. I need to meet at least this threshold. And the thresholds they fall short on are knowledge and time to do it. And the answer is, this is where Note School has become a leg up, a way to leverage what we can do for you and help you do so that you can get what you want. And you can participate in this industry like Martha, my wife, or like Jay, or like all these other people that we're really seeing their life change because of this. So Robert Kiyosaki said, two things were important. He said the most important word in the world of money is cash flow. The second most important is the word of leverage. And leverage was an example how Martha used leverage to take $1,000 and turn it into a lot of money, or how we students, our Note School inner circle members, use leveraging us, my team, our experience, our access to the business, and our access to information. They used leverage that so that they could get what they wanted and go down the line. This young man's name is Seth Choate. I really, really like this guy. He is a young, smart guy. Seth joined our Note School a few years ago, around 2018. Seth has told me numerous times since then, two things I think are important. He said, I was able to increase my net worth at least $2 million a year by the strategies you guys helped me understand in creative financing and buying notes. And secondly, he's more than doubled his cash flow. Now, he owned a fairly substantial amount of rental properties, but he said notes, the cash flow in notes, because you buy a note and you get the income from it, and you don't have to pay taxes and insurance and maintenance and vacancy, right? You don't have those expenses when you own a note. You're the bank. You're not a landlord. And so I would say that what Seth would say to you, I'm very comfortable, is session. It's something that we do sell, but obviously I have a great relationship with Quest. I really love those guys, and I want to offer you guys a gift and give you an implementation, a masterclass, right? When is it? It is next week. It is October the 11th. This is 11 a.m. Let me correct that, because that is just a typo that I made, and I see that, and it's easy to fix. So it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, this is a live event, but it's virtual. So it's at your home. So you're just sitting there with us. That's the QR code right there. You know how it works. Take your phone and take a picture of it. And it's got a quick little registration thing. It won't take but a minute. We're going to ask for your name. We're going to ask for your cell phone number and your email, because we're going to send you both. I'm going to send you some documents that are going to be easier to email, but to make sure that we don't lose connectivity with you because something ends up in your junk mail, we're also going to be texting you some things. So we want both, right? At this session, what will you leave there with? You'll leave there with some clear answers of what to do when real estate market starts to decline quickly, right? Now you're saying, well, houses aren't declining quickly. Okay, but what is happening to banking? And what is happening is creative financing is a lot more active, and the market's definitely changing. Which note investing path could benefit you the most? Martha, my wife, doesn't buy non-performing notes. Jay, the guy you saw the other case study, he buys both performing notes and non-performing notes. So we'll hopefully define for you more clearly which path would be the best for you. The most important steps to take to grow your net worth this year, that's what you're going to leave there with, is some clarity about that. I want you to leave there with some materials. Now, don't sign up for this just because of the materials, but we've got some really cool materials that we're going to give you guys. These are process maps and various strategies that we'll cover on the call. You ever think you got a question about this business? Oh yeah, well, I've answered some questions. This book is 150 questions about that people have most commonly asked me about the note business, and the answers are in this book. We're going to give you a download of that. You know, that little partial calculator to calculate buying the whole note and selling the partial. How many of you would like to have an Excel graph where you could play with those numbers? Yeah, well, we're going to give you that too. Okay. We got a white paper on self-directed retirement account investing related to partials. This is very specialized white paper. You probably wouldn't have seen this anywhere else in the world. Now let's talk about the event for just a second. I'm going to give you my best. If you're going to get this so that you know your direction and your efficiency that you can have in this, you're going to have to lean in and listen. This class will be about 2 hours, and it's going to move pretty fast. So you're not going to be able to multitask very well. So just make an appointment with yourself. It'll be worth it. I'll promise. It'll be worth it. Make an appointment for 2 hours and turn other stuff off so you can get stuff done. Listen, there's a lot of people in the market that are worried. There's a lot of people in the market that are worried. Weird markets, disruptive markets, markets where banking is a problem, models where a cash flow rental property is not cash flowing anymore, where you used to could make math work. We all know there's other things you can do that will make money. You just have to go figure out what that is. You don't have to worry, because that's exactly what we're going to show you. There's a couple of things I'd say to you. First of all, what are your choices? Well, you could stay where you are. Option number one, you could stay where you are, and you could do nothing, right? You could just stay where you are, right? The other thing, option number two, is that you could figure out essentially how to do it on your own. I've got 43 years and God knows how many hundreds of thousands of hours, but you could figure it out on your own. Or option number three is attend with us, and why don't you walk down the road and let us see if this strategy makes sense for you. It'd be a really good way to go test, do I like this or not, right? So the master class, once again, you guys know how it works. Now, if your phone isn't working for some reason, that is the URL. That's noteschool.com/Quest Trust. Or obviously it's just like in a restaurant, or where you're gonna, pull up a menu with the QR code. So this date is incorrect, by the way. I'm sorry. I should have corrected that. My mistake. This class is October the when is that? It's October the 11th. If for some crazy reason you're traveling, we will have another class if you'll register. If you just can't make it on that day, if you'll register, then my team will work with you and get you rescheduled whenever the next class comes available. So, Quest, I'm going to hand it back to you guys. This was awesome. I really appreciate it. By the way, I told you at the beginning, I was going to try to cover this stuff as fast as I could. I think you can kind of see that I did that. And so, if you've put some questions in the questions box, we'll look forward to looking at those and responding back. And I'm going to let you guys have it back. And I really appreciate Quest, you guys inviting me. I appreciate all of you that were here and hung out with us. I hope that you see this as possibly a game changer. I know it is for a lot of people in the market conditions we're in right now. I hope it is for you. I'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.
All righty. Well, that was awesome. I love that he tailored that just for our audience. It's always a great opportunity whenever we can get Eddie Speed up here. We're going to go ahead and just wrap it up quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and just post a email where you guys can reach out to us with all your additional questions. If you do have some that you think of afterwards, it's IRA Specialists at questtrust.com. You can contact us there. We will be happy to answer any questions you may have about self-directed IRAs or where to get more education. Or if you have any questions for Eddie Speed, we'll make sure to pass those along as well. But as always, thank you so much for joining us. We know that there are tons of different ways that you could spend your Saturday afternoon, and we think that there's no better way than spending it learning about how you can secure your financial future. So hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. We will see you for Power Play Tuesday on next Tuesday, and of course, next week again for Self-Directed IRA Saturday. Thank you so much. Have a great day.